It's great to see your smiling faces and nodding heads. So yeah, just by way of agenda, I'm really the setup guy from AWS. I'm gonna give you a little bit of background on what we do through Contact Center Intelligence. And then gonna hand it over, and we're gonna have a great discussion between Aaron and Michelle. And then I think we wanna spend 15 minutes or so on your Q&A. So that's the plan, all right? So let's jump right in. So you know this, like this is the kind of the core of your job is around providing great customer experience, and we know that there's real ROI behind doing that. So these numbers sort of bear that out. 73% of customers say that a great customer experience impacts their purchasing decision. 32%, or almost a third, say that they would churn after only one bad experience. So that's a pretty high bar. And then conversely, like 16% of customers would pay a premium for a good customer experience. So the ROI is there, and I think you all know this. This is kind of core to what you do. We also know that customers like you are really leaning into AI and automation in the contact center now. And these numbers sort of bear that out as well. So on the left, it's the natural language processing is kind of the set of AI services underneath it. AI in the contact center, that market is growing 27% on a compound annual rate, largely through deployments in contact centers like yours. So that's a pretty fast growth rate. 52% of companies say that they're investing more in AI in the contact center since the onset of the pandemic. And then 80% of CX professionals like you believe that AI in the contact center will provide for a better customer experience. So AI is here, and that's a real part of the journey these days for providing better customer experience. So here's a build chart, apparently. I'm gonna build it out. So how do we do that? What are some of the ways that we provide AI in the contact center? So from an AWS perspective, we kind of look at it this way, looking at some of your key and persistent challenges around things like long hold and resolution times. We of course have a service to provide conversational experiences and bots to your end users so that they can self-serve and boost customer satisfaction. So not a new trend, but definitely one that is accelerating as well. High agent turnover, that is something that has accelerated also over the course of the pandemic. And so we provide solutions for agents to help them focus on providing better experiences. That might be real-time transcription so that they can focus on the customer and not the note-taking. It might be something that we call Agent Assist, which you can see over in the booth. We'll talk about that later. To provide content and information to agents based on what their customers are telling them in real time. So just, again, enabling them to focus on the customer, which is what generally that they really want to do, and we think that improves their experience and can start to address turnover. The lack of actionable insights, this is a key space. So what we want to do is to provide the ability for you to transcribe 100% of your customer contacts. So you have a complete view of your corpus of customer data, and then you can get real insights from that data as opposed to sort of manual methods which only provide you with sort of a subset of that data. And then those insights can drive product innovations, drive the top line revenues, and also find areas to cut costs. Last but not the least, improving operational efficiency is always a goal. Your challenge may be simply, or not simply, but addressing compliance needs. And again, if you're able to transcribe all of your customer contacts, kind of take that off the manual workload and remove that from the operational overhead that you have. So these are some of the ways that we can apply AI and ML in the contact center, and Aaron and Michelle will talk about that as well. So how do we provide these things? We have a solution that provides all these capabilities. It's called Contact Center Intelligence. So that's the subject of your little sticker and your flyer. So that's Contact Center Intelligence. The functionality that we talked about. It's applicable, of course, to our own omni-channel cloud contact center, Amazon Connect. But these services were really built from the ground up with the ability to apply them to any existing contact center. So you see some popular names, of course, on the screen, but any other contact center as well. So there's means to integrate through standards and some additional extensions that some of these vendors have built as well. So that's Contact Center Intelligence. We're AWS, so we're going to put a slide with a bunch of services, like little, we call these Lego blocks. I'm not going to go through all of these. Suffice to say, we have a set of AI services that we've invested substantially in over the past 5+ years to build and train and optimize and drive these things so that they have really good accuracy and things like that. And that you don't have to focus on that. These are pre-trained services. They're available. They don't require additional machine learning, data science capabilities. These are out-of-the-box sort of pre-trained APIs. So to maybe bring it home, the Contact Center Intelligence, we think about these things in really 3 main use cases. I alluded to some of these before in the earlier chart. The first is around self-service and virtual agents. And so again, some really cool demos in the booth to bring that home if you want to see some of what we're doing here with some of our partners as well. Real-time call analytics and agent assist in the middle, providing your agents with the ability to better serve customers in real time and drive CSAT and those types of KPIs. And then last but not the least, with post-call analytics so that you can derive insights from 100% of your customer contacts. So those are the 3 main use cases. And I think with that, I am going to hand it over to Aaron, who's going to take you through some material, and then we'll get into the discussion.
Thanks for setting that up, Brett. It's happy to be here today. First of all, AWS is a valued partner of ours, and I'll be sharing with you some of the services that we use to deliver these experiences, and a little bit about Success KPI, and then I really want to get into Q&A with Michelle and have her share a little bit more about what she's doing and how she's using these solutions, because technology is great and solutions are great, but unless we're solving problems and finding value, it's all talk, right? So let's get to it. First of all, with Success KPI, just a little bit about us. We drive advanced analytics by bringing all of your interactions together, regardless of channel, regardless of platform, regardless of data set. We take those contact center platforms that you have and we bring insights and action to them. So what we'll be talking about with Michelle today is taking multiple platforms, whether it be contact center, CRM, workforce management systems, and taking data from them that allow you to impact the business, right? And that's really where we differentiate in the market is you can have a lot of these types of solutions that we'll talk about on this slide, whether it be speech analytics, post-call, real-time quality management, machine scoring, all of these things. But unless you have access to all of the data behind those things, they're just really great tools, right? And they're providing some value, but when you can pull insights from them and put action to them, you're really making impact on the business and on the customer experience. So How do we do that? First of all is the top left corner, conversation analytics. So we're taking advantage of all of the data sets that are exposed by these contact center platforms, and we're bringing them into our platform with a pre-built integration that's on a shelf. So when you enter in your settings into our system for your CCaaS provider, all of the data just flows. And from there, you have access to our out-of-the-box reports, third-party data connectors where you're bringing this information together and really delivering a single source of the truth, which is one of those buzzwords like AI and Omni, right? Single source of the truth, 360 view, but we're gonna show you exactly how we've done that in a real use case. When you partner that together with a speech and text analytics platform, you're taking in call recordings and you're in real time or post-call understanding what's happening in those calls, and we're taking advantage of an AWS service here for transcription. So they empower us to offer 90+% accuracy in over 40 languages around the globe out of the box, right? So we can do that. We can also take your text analytics. So we'll talk about that with Michelle, where you can actually take emails, chats, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Twitter, and you can put it through this analytics platform as well. And not only is it gonna show you what you are looking for, but it's going to use AI and machine learning to provide recommendations of what you should be looking for. You know, if all you're doing is programming in what you think you should look for, you probably are missing some really important things in those conversations, and there's a lot of manual processes that go into finding what those things are, and we actually use some AWS services to bring that to the forefront. With that, we also have quality management, and quality management is one of those pieces where we like to think about it a little bit broader, where this isn't just phone calls, emails, text messages, but back office work too, right? There's a lot of things that happen that you wanna make sure that were processed correctly. You can create those forms, unlimited amount of forms, and then once you score a form 500 times, we use services to do machine scoring, so we're predicting the answers, and when you're validating those, it's tuning and training the application. So it's constantly getting better over time, scoring 100% of the calls, taking all of those insights out of what you thought you should look for and what you should be looking for. And then to that, we have a playbook builder, which is a if this, then that engine that allows you to take all of those data and insights and put action to them. So if the hold time is longer than 2 minutes and the negative sentiment on the customer side was detected within the first 30 seconds, tell the agent to do this. Alert a supervisor that the queues are too long. Put a case in Salesforce to notify that the next time they call in that they had negative sentiment and you should work extra hard on the next call. So actually taking those insights from conversations and doing something with them outside and inside of the platform. Why do customers work with us? It really comes down to, you know, the ability to have immediate time to value with real-time actionable analytics, cross-channel and cross-platform. So no custom integration work, right? Immediate time to value with pre-built integrations on a shelf, and putting insight to action really allows you to do things that you weren't able to do before. So with that, let's get into the fun stuff here. When you put AWS CCI and Success KPI together, our immediate time to value and our SaaS-based model and our agnostic approach to channels and platforms really shines. It's about finding how to solve a problem, right? And then being able to track the success of solving that problem and how to get better over time. And if you can find one use case to solve, the ROI on that will pay for the platform in itself. And now you don't have to go look for another vendor the next time you need to solve a problem. Create this continuous data silo issue. Right? So together, we're really better. And I would say that too about Michelle and I, right? So I'll introduce Michelle first by saying, you know, I like to call her the contact center queen. So if you haven't had a chance to meet her yet, that should tell you a little bit about her. The other thing that I would say, before I ask you to share a little bit about yourself, is it's so impressive to me that every single one of Michelle's team members thinks the world of her. And that says a lot about a person. So happy to call you a friend. And thank you for your partnership with us in AWS. To get us started, you want to share a little bit about Maximus and about yourself and your role in the organization?
Yeah, I guess I'll stand up.
Yep.
Hi, guys.
Please do.
Yeah, my name is Michelle Pice. I'm VP over Citizen Engagement for our federal programs at Maximus. Maximus is a solely focused government business organization. We do BPOs, we do IT, we do back-end processing, mail, but all for either local, state, or federal government. My division is within federal. So I love talking to call center people because y'all will get this. So I have been under the IT, tech, and solutioning for about 2 years. But prior to that, I have more decades of operations experience that I care to discuss or divulge. You never give an operator keys to the system because they're going to make it do things that you never thought it could do. And so I think this is why it's been such a great partnership with Success KPI, because I think I've come to them with some really crazy stuff, and we figured it out together. So that's a little bit about me and our partnership. But yeah, I'm happy to show you our wonkiness and how it worked out. Pretty cool.
All right, that's how partnerships work, right? Is we're always bringing each other ideas, and first the question I want to talk about is to deliver on these complex projects. I would think that the technology stacks are pretty wide, and that causes data silos. So I'm going to go to the next screen here and ask you: does this look familiar?
You know what we missed?
What did we miss?
We missed Amazon Connect. That's also in that.
You're right. Well, up in the voice.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, it's there. I see it now. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
look at that, y'all. That's a mess, right?
So this was the before picture. So you were using Amazon Connect and Genesys for voice, right? And you're using Twilio for SMS.
Yes.
And then WhatsApp.
And WhatsApp.
And then Workforce Management and Workday. And then you've got some Deltek and some Microsoft CRM.
Yep, our CRM was Microsoft. Deltek is our pay system. Yeah, I think that's everything. Yeah.
So this probably looks somewhat familiar to some of you and your organizations, but maybe some different logos here, right? And we see this a lot, so you're not alone. This is what typically happens when you're out in the marketplace and you're growing and you're solving problems, is you need different solutions to drive that. And what we help you do with Success KPI, and what we work together to do, was take the Amazon Connect, Genesys, and Twilio data with our pre-built integrations and bring those into Success KPI with no custom code. And then we use an Amazon S3 bucket to put the Workday, Deltek, WhatsApp data into, and then put that into Success KPI as well. So now, for this after picture, your reporting and your operations and your analytics are within Success KPI?
Yes. They are all within Success KPI. They still live in their original place, right? But we have a reporting within Success KPI.
Yeah. And so by bringing all of that together, right? If we talk about the before picture first, like what type of challenges does this cause?
Okay, so this is why I like talking to contact center people, because they'll understand this. So Deltek, right, pay. That's the pay system, hours, so on and so forth. So you pull one report from Deltek to get that, and then you do some sort of magical stuff in Excel where you marry that against your Twilio stuff to see how many times they were taking SMS, and then you marry it with the Genesys call taking. And then if you want to find out that person's history, then you're going to go into Workday, right, to go find out their history, when they were hired, what they did, what they didn't do. Should they be here? Should they not be here? Where do they live? My goodness, right? It's, we used to have to worry about the call center next door. Now we have to worry about the contact center across the nation, right? Now that we're all work from home. All that data is now gathered into one place and makes our lives so much easier.
So I have to ask, once you put it all together in one place, what was the biggest aha moment or insight that you're like, I cannot believe we didn't know that before?
So it wasn't so much an aha moment.
Okay.
That what I did find was, or maybe it was, what I would eventually use the data for. I went in thinking I wanted this, which I did, but the benefits I got out of that post solutioning were immense. For example, back to the whole contact center across the country, right? I'm sure everyone here, if you've been on, had on-site solutions, we strategically place those, right, for high performance. There's a reason we have our sites where we do. And now somebody snuck into our space, right? Someone's taking our agents, and they're working from home, and they're retreating, and we're having problems getting back. So, in a past world, in our new world, I would try to figure out where those people are. Success KPI has taken that away from me, right? They fixed that for me. Now I know where we have high-performing agents. I look for pockets. I get visualizations on it to say, hey, look, there's an area in Arizona, just off the top of my head, where we have really low attrition and high performance. Let's target that area. It also makes sure we don't cannibalize our sites, our projects that are still on site, so we can stay away from those areas when we recruit virtually. So it does a couple of things for us. And I think, are we going to get into the study? I won't get into the
Yeah,
actual
we're
case.
gonna go next into the use case, but thanks for sharing that. I think that really talks to, finding the original use case to bring it together. And then once it's together, you start to find all of these things that you can do that you couldn't do before. So it really is a process of putting it all into one place, starting to look at some of the out-of-the-box reports, and then you as the contact center queen coming and saying, if we could look at this way, Nadeem, right?
Yeah, Nadeem doesn't want to hear, it's like block my number. He doesn't want me to call him anymore.
But it's some of our most creative outputs come from the questions that you drive. And the use case that we want to talk about today was, you and your team had the opportunity to stand up one of the largest contact centers, right, in history in only a few weeks to address a critical healthcare initiative. A lot of pressure around this. So if you had to use 3 words to describe what it was like heading into this, what would you say?
Fear, chaos, madness. It was bad. It was actually 22,218. The number is burned into my brain. We hired 22,218 CSRs in 8 weeks. I'll cry for a little bit. It was.
So you could feel that pain, right? Going into that moment. And why was
Frank from Maximus right now? I see him rubbing his head.
A lot of you remember that well, right? And so why was an end-to-end analytics solution that included speech, QM, and reporting powered by these Amazon services so important to you?
So there's a couple of reasons, right? So first, just managing a sheer workforce of 22,000 in a regular world is nearly impossible. Now, 22,000 people who've never been into a Maximus site, that's a whole new experience. So how do you manage these people? Where does all of their information live? How do we manage their performance? How do we track what they're doing? All of that, we saw the challenge coming, and that's when we partnered with Success KPI and said, how are we going to do this? How are we going to get from point A to point B? And we did. So really proud of this project, 22,000 people. We did 100% of call monitoring on this, AI scores. 100% of calls were AI scored because of the complexity of the project, as well as the things that could go right or wrong, right? We had 100% AI scoring.
So you were using Amazon Transcribe to score 100% of the calls with high accuracy and multiple language recognition, right? And taking those transcriptions and then taking the text-based readouts from WhatsApp and Twilio and putting those through the analytics. One question I have for you is you were also looking at self-service effectiveness and those sorts of things. So what did you learn about self-service effectiveness during this use case?
So this solution, because of the projected volumes, had a very elegant self-service option at the beginning. What we've identified was that sometimes it was too much. Sometimes, everyone knows, right? Sometimes the IVRs are too long. And really finding that right spot that really served our citizenry while not impacting our staffing was really a challenge. And that's what we found. We found who was getting frustrated from being in the IVR too long, who was getting frustrated from not getting to the right person, so on and so forth. That's really where we got our direction from.
And I have seen it so often in my career in technology in the contact center space is so many times we digitally implement, right? We use a new self-service tool, we try out a new analytics tool, but digital transformation takes being able to understand the data that's coming from those and using that data, those insights to drive action, and that's when you transform. So I get so excited when we work with organizations who have invested in these digital implementations and we can give them the data behind these and match it up together with what's happening in other systems in their organization, and the insights that come from those allow you to not only achieve the ROI that you originally signed up for, but find all of the other places that you're negatively or positively impacting in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one thing that I really like also is we are also agnostic when it comes to platforms. These platforms have all these hundreds of reports, right? And everyone pulls their own reports every day, and they're all doing this bit. And then when you go into a meeting, everyone's speaking a totally different language based on which report they decided to pull that day. Having one consistent reporting engine has really solved that problem, especially in a work-from-home environment. I mean, I've been around long enough to know where we used to get our reports smacked on our desks as supervisors, so everybody had the same report. Can't do that anymore. Everybody's work from home. How do we make sure everybody's getting the right data set, and everyone's looking at it consistently? Once we let people, start playing stuff, then everybody's talking a different language.
I saw a lot of heads nodding on that one with the different reports and the problems that caused. What about workforce management? So you've talked about the Deltek piece of this, like with the Workday data, right? And your workforce management and your forecasting. What type of insights and action are you doing there?
Well, so Workday is not really, it's our workforce system, but it's not our workforce management.
Okay.
It manages our workforce. So it's our HR system. So what does that do for us? It's kind of what I was speaking to earlier. I know where the pockets are, where all the good CSRs are now. You're not getting the list, right? By zip code, by heat map. So when this project ramped down, which it did, and CDC came back to us with testing kits and asked us to ramp back up, guess what we did? Went back to that list that we had of the original agents and called them back. And because we had one center of truth, we knew who was high performing, why they attrited, how did they do, what was their handle time, how many hours did they give us, how long were they with us, all in one report. So true end-to-end agent lifecycle. Really hard to do.
So that's where you called out in the use case the end-to-end view of agent effectiveness, right? Okay. And you mentioned a little bit about machine scoring for quality management. So we talked about transcribing the calls and then taking the text-based interactions into the analytics system. Now that you can machine score 100% of the calls, can you talk to us a little bit about kind of what that's like and how that's helping your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So in our older models, right, we have our QAs usually at a 1:66, 1:50 ratio, more or less. That's great, but what do you do when you get 22,000 people that no one knows what they're doing, right? Or 20,000, whatever the number is, even 100. No, there are no SMEs. It's a new project. How do you find a QA? How do you do this? How do you score the calls? This takes away some of that challenge in that now you can use your quality analysts as true analysts. The scoring will bucket your calls based on, anger, language, topic. So you can use your analysts to go in there and really listen to either the really great calls or the really bad calls and do true analysis of the quality, as opposed to just sitting there listening to calls all day and doing this bit, and trying to find the calls. So let's say one QA can, one CSR takes like 8 times, 6 calls, 48 calls in a day average, somewhere between 40 and 48, depending on the call. We monitor maybe 1 or 2 calls per CSR per week, maybe if we're in a good week. Oh, somebody's saying 5. Oh, we only have 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. All
Sorry,
right.
I took over.
It's okay. No, you're fine. We're doing good on time. So let's talk a little bit about the client here. So the CDC is your client. You're a BPO. So how did the CDC respond to the reporting and the analytics and insights that you're delivering?
Yeah, so CDC is a very data-driven client. Some clients tend to be more data-driven than the others. CDC is very data-driven. So they actually really love the reporting. They love the visibility, and they loved having access to Success KPI. We gave them access. We gave them their own IDs, so they could pull whatever reports they wanted to on their time without breaching the security. So that was great. They loved the reporting, and they loved, it sounds silly, but they loved the colors, right? Because now they had heat maps and things that they hadn't seen before. It was amazing. So they loved all of that, right? The transparency, being able to pull them when they wanted to. Once again, single source of truth. Everybody was talking the same data. There wasn't one person talking about a report from last week or something that showed up in their inbox. Everyone was talking the same data. And once again, just the ability to take that, if they wanted to print it and put it into a deck or paste it onto a deck, made their lives much easier when they were reporting up.
And so as a BPO and driving, competitive differentiation in the marketplace, how are you using this solution to gain more business?
So we are using solution one. It's going in most of our bids. Start there. But really, it helps us provide a solution before there's a problem. Because there's going to be a problem as soon as you implement it. You have pre-solutioned against that problem. I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys, but I know what I mean in my head. You know when you're going to go through an implementation, you're going to have bad quality, problematic CSRs, people don't show up to work. The list goes on and on. This allows me to know what the problems are from day 1 as opposed to day 80. Make sense? Kind of?
Got it. Yeah, and that's we were talking with someone about this earlier who's going through like a premise to cloud migration, right? And if you think about an advanced analytics platform like this, if you put the advanced analytics platform in first, you can level set where your data is today, right? And then as you're migrating, you can bring the premise data together with the cloud data. And then you're looking at one report, and then post-migration, you can actually measure how you're doing now versus when you were in your premise environment, right? So thinking of this as the way to start the transformation in your organization and plug into it so that you have that end-to-end journey, not only from the customer journey perspective, but from your journey as an organization, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I absolutely care about our citizens' journeys, our customers, but I have to serve my internal customers as well, right? We have to make sure we're training them correctly, we're getting them the support they need, we're getting them the feedback they need, right, from calls. That's what I use this for. It makes sure that I'm holding my team accountable for our performance internally.
All right, so before we open it up to Q&A, I'm gonna share an example report here. You want to talk to us a little bit about what we're looking at?
Yeah, so that's one of the heat maps we're talking about. That's calls by state. The red, I believe, on this one is people who are angry, or was that, yeah?
Yep,
So-
this is sentiment, a geographic heat map.
Yep.
So we're taking in the calls, and we're doing the Amazon transcribe, and then we're using the sentiment detection to determine where the unhappy callers are.
Yeah, and I don't think there's going to be any surprises there considering the project, right? Where the red places are and where the green places are. But
Makes sense?
you know what? This is something that our clients, your clients, whoever's clients, can print out, put into a deck, and go, you know, without having to do a lot of work. One thing, and it sounds funny, but you know, one thing is like I've seen a lot of platforms that have all this fancy schmancy reporting, and it's amazing, but it's like giving me a convertible Corvette and never teaching me to drive, right? I don't want to mess with stuff. I want something that I created, that can be spoon-fed to me daily, and I don't have to keep a whole team of 50 data analysts on staff to do so. That makes my life easier.
All right, so I'm hoping that a few of you have some questions that are on your mind to ask. In the interest of time, I'm gonna go ahead and put this booth or this slide up as we're doing Q&A. Again, thank you for this opportunity to share this story. Michelle, thank you for your continued partnership. You can find Success KPI at our booth or visit our website. But I'm gonna head into the crowd and to pass the microphone around for the Q&A on this next 7 minutes. So who's got a question? And I can pick somebody if I need to. Don't make me call you out.
I'm gonna sit down.
Yes, please do.
How you doing? 22,000, 8 weeks, and government does not sound like it should be used in the same context. Well done. So with all this data that you're collecting, I mean, is there FedRAMP? Was that required? How'd you guys get around it?
Yeah,
maybe-
I'm gonna let Aaron respond to that.
Talk about security and
Yeah.
things of that sort.
I'm gonna let Aaron respond to that.
Yeah, so Success KPI is FedRAMP certified. So that's pretty amazing for an analytics platform. And we support deployments worldwide with local data residency if you're required. So working with an analytics partner who SOC 2 Type 2 third-party certified, HIPAA, FedRAMP, we jump through those hoops, and we do those because we're led by customers like Michelle who ask us to do really hard things, and we partner together. So, great question. Any more? No? Yeah. So I'll have Michelle talk a little bit about her implementation, but I'd say from a Success KPI perspective, we have pre-built integrations to most of the CCaaS players out there. So because we're a SaaS platform, it's immediate value. So if you enter in like your license key, your password into our platform, the data and the call recordings flow immediately. You have access to our out-of-the-box report, so literally activation in minutes. From there, it's a matter of how much do you want to customize, how much training do you want, what do you want to do with it after you've opened it up and started to dig in. Anything you want to share on your implementation? 8 weeks?
8 weeks, no sleep. We do that annually, actually, for another one of our government partners, where we ramp annually, and we're getting ready to go into the season where we're going to ramp for them. Success KPI has partnered with us on that project as well. That is a rapid ramp that usually, I can't name the client, but on that project in particular, we have 24-hour turnaround from award, day of award, to be up. So it's a rapid ramp, it's high volume, and it is quick turnaround, including background checks, federal background checks. So, yeah, we partner with SPBI there. Thank you for that. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Who else has a question? We've got 5 minutes left. Somebody's got something on their mind. Anything? Okay. Let me ask you, Michelle, there's a lot of other reports that you're driving out of our system. I saw one on like an end of day report that's sent out. How is that used?
So, is it on? Okay. So we have a couple of reports that we used to build them by hand, right? It was we called it our all-in-one, and it's kind of proprietary to like my team because they're amazing. They built it back in the day, and we sort of used it on other projects. This has made that's what you're referring to. It's called an all-in-one, and it gives you several different tabs for different things. But it's basically what it says as built, right? All in one, everything in one report. So that's the report you see going out. We also have our automagical reports that go out, I think, every half hour on this one. I think we have another platform where we have going out every 15 minutes because that client wants their data every 15 minutes. And really, that we can tailor it down to whatever the client wants. Because at the end of the day, it's their project. We're working it for them, but it's theirs. They own it.
So, anybody else have a question before I ask a last one here? Okay. Yes. Perfect.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, let me take this down real quick. So you mentioned a lot of internal motivators for just this new reporting that you've been doing. What kind of agent experience changes have you noticed since bringing on this new tool?
To be completely honest, the agents do get their feedback, but I don't think there is a direct connection, but it's not necessarily quite visible. And where we see those connections is them getting their feedback, higher performance, lower handle times. Whereas if we were in a traditional model, especially during rapid ramp, and you don't necessarily have the supervisory layer, that all-important supervisory layer that is tenured and knows what they're doing and knows the project, this supports that, especially in this current world. Once again, back then when projects were implemented in 90 to 120 days, maybe. What we've been doing the last couple of years, at least at Maximus, is our implementations, my poor guys back there, average about 2 weeks from award to go live. So this is one of the ways that we have worked through that and making sure, to your point, that the agents are getting the right feedback from day one, right? Because you're not going to have that tenured layer right there at the middle that know what they're doing. On a new project, no one's tenured.
And a follow-up to that, and we'll wrap up here, is we talked about machine scoring for quality management. So anytime you talk about automating something that people do today, right, the people start to wonder how that's going to affect them. So how has your quality team reacted to machine scoring?
They like it because they don't have to listen to calls anymore. So they're super happy. They only have to listen to calls. We asked them to listen to the calls that were problematic or had an issue. And but that gives them the time not only to just focus on those calls, but also focus on the feedback to those agents as to what they did wrong, as opposed to when they're just doing the checkbox and you're never really sure the CSR is getting that feedback. You hope they are. You saw a check mark that they did, but you really don't know, right? This opens up the time. It's not going to I'm not going to lie to you. It's not going to really lessen your workforce from a quality standpoint. I wouldn't. I am super happy that I have quality analysts now that can focus on my CSRs as opposed to just checking boxes and shoving out paper. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Getting insights that are actionable, right? Not checking boxes, but really
insights that are actionable, knowing where your problem areas are. And once again, because we're in Workday, I can tell you that, Toulouse, Washington, it has problems, right? There's bad sentiment on the CSR side. What's going on there? Because we used to be able to do it by site. Supervisor, doesn't work like that anymore. Whole nation.
Thank you so much. Michelle and I and Brett will be available for questions, or you can find us at our booths and LinkedIn. And hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.
I don't have a booth, but I'm around.
Thank you for your time. Yep.